Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is the show where we're supposed to go for 20 minutes, and I'm just rambling already before the show even starts. We'll give you the cool, fun tech creation, science, interesting stories today that we definitely have opinions on. Get you on your way. Creation Station at Broward.org comes right to us, and we can try and get your stories on the air if you send them to us in time. I've got Sean from out at the West Regional Creation Station. How are you, sir?
I am doing great today. Thanks for asking.
I'm pretty sure you're the newest person in the county for Creation Stations right now. You've just started there like, what, a month? Not even a month yet?
Yeah, something like that around there.
Yeah, that's insane. That's just insane. So what are you doing out there with the West Regional space?
So right now we're working on trying to figure out what we can do to make West Regional's Creation Station, West Regionals, something unique, something fun that'll bring people out. At the moment, we do have our 3D printing going on, getting some steady people putting in requests. So that's the main thing we got going, and then we're hoping that
3D printing is a pretty nice little draw.
Yeah, it is. People do love it. Kids especially, they love to get printing of animals and things like that. But yeah, we're going to hope to build something up later into the year.
Speaking of later on in the year, just in 2 days, you've got Bookfest and 2,000 people showing up.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a peek at the registration list last night, and we're closing in on 3,000 registered. So yeah, it's going to be a great festival. It's going to be so much fun Saturday.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
But thank you for the whole printing animals and stuff, because the NASA database is there that people can print rockets and all the different lunar lander and all the things. We do not have one yet of China's lunar lander, but we're going to be getting one, I'm pretty sure, soon, because they just landed on the moon, on the dark side of the moon. No one's ever landed anything back there before, and China just managed to pull it off. I'm going to play the video here as we're talking. It's only a minute long. It's just insane for two reasons, and I want your opinion on this, Sean. One is being able to pull this off after the most recent other events of people crashing their probes at the South Pole and stuff like that. Being able to come in and land like this is just amazing. And then number two is, let's stop that. We don't care about ads. Yeah. Number two is they got this video off the satellite network of the moon.
Wow.
So tell me, Sean, what do you think about this chance of getting out there to the moon and landing like that?
I think it's great in general. The idea of space exploration is something I think that worldwide we should really be more involved with. It's just such a fascinating thing that we don't know much about, after all this time. So while I'm not up to speed with what China's been doing with their space adventures, so it was really cool to see this, that they're doing something and they've landed, and it was really, really cool to see the video of it.
Yeah, and that leads us right into the next space story here, because somebody out there did poke me about this one. I'm like, sorry, I've already got that on the show notes, but thank you for finding this for us. There probably are killer asteroids following Venus. And the problem is they're not going to hurt Venus. They would probably hurt Earth. As you said, adventures and things we don't know. This is an interesting, weird thing that they speculated might be there, because we have them. You might recall last year on the show, we did a thing about an extra moon that the Earth picked up for a few months, and it was just an asteroid that followed us along in our orbit, and then it deorbited and went off into the rest of the solar system as expected. So almost all planets have them. Jupiter and Saturn have tons of them, and they're big, large moons. Venus we now know Venus has at least 3 of these that are just following along in orbit around the sun just behind Venus. But the problem is they're in unstable orbits. They're not like a moon like ours or the ones that are circling Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, etc. So they eventually at some point at some year will leave. And as they leave on their way out the solar system, Earth is in between Venus and the rest of the solar system. Yay!
Yay! Oh, I think I've seen one or two movies about a topic similar to this.
So they know that there's 20 co-orbital ones is the correct official term. And they suspect that 3 of them are large enough to cause significant damage. And by large enough, they mean wiping out at least a city. So these are not dinosaur killer asteroid size out there. Those we pretty much have seen all. We hope we have seen all of them in the near Earth orbits.
Right.
We hope.
We hope.
But so some of these are going to be, they're only about 460 feet across. They're decent sized pieces of rock that are going to be smashing into something at some point in some year. And unfortunately, the only way we will know about them is if we send another spacecraft up into orbit around Venus or closer to Venus, because of just how the Venus and the sun and the Earth all are in these orbits. We can't successfully see these things easily from the surface of Earth.
Right.
So that is a thing. Those are our space stories. Somebody did send me a story earlier this afternoon, asked me if I was going to talk about the SpaceX Starship unexpected decommissioning, as some people might say. It's when it becomes news, we'll talk about it. It's not news that they keep crashing. It's only news if they can actually launch it successfully at this point. 9 crashes in a row is not news anymore.
Yeah.
So thank you for the thought. I appreciate that. We always like getting in stories. Sometimes we can't use them, but we appreciate seeing all the feedback from people. Now, art before humans. Just insane.
Yeah, this was a good read. This was a good read right here.
What do you think about this? Do you think that that's art?
I think I've seen a lot of debates. I've heard a lot of debates over the years about like what qualifies as art. Honestly, I think this could be art. I wouldn't want to take away from someone who, if they put that dot there and to them that was a face, that was a nose. Why would I take that away from them? That's their art. Everyone expresses their art differently. And, prior to this article, actually, it never really dawned across me that people would think that Neanderthals didn't create art. I thought that's something that's just would have been always an expressive part of humanity and human related since the dawn of time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that's part of it too, is understanding they are humans. They're not Homo sapiens,
right?
Us. They evolved separately and died out on their own, semi due to interbreeding with us, and they just didn't continue as a species.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, they had brains. They were thinking. They had language. They had all the stuff. So why wouldn't they have art?
Right.
And then it just happens that they created art before we did, or at least we have found it. We haven't found anything from Homo sapiens that's art from that old.
Right.
43,000 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I was tempted to put a CSI quote on here because it's an actual fingerprint too.
Yeah.
It can't. Can you imagine? Here, take a look at this finger. If fingerprints were like DNA, where you could trace them down. And by the way, here's your great how many greats back person. Here, they were a famous Neanderthal artist. I don't know. I'm making it up, but I like this. I like that idea of a story.
Yeah, that would be really that'd be cool. The first famous Neanderthal
Yeah.
artist.
There we go. I bet you somebody could write a book about that.
Oh yeah.
Now, we have a blurry picture for you. The reason this blurry picture is important is this is the first time we have a photo of this animal, a particular type of antelope, and there's only 100 of them left on the planet, and nobody knows if they can save these last 100 in the wild, or they don't have any of them in zoos. They don't even know. They didn't even realize this was a separate species until a couple decades ago. So nobody went and grabbed them and put them in zoos or anything like they did with white rhinos and other stuff. Just somebody in a helicopter out there trying to track and get some population numbers to say, okay, how many are they stable? Are they lessening? Spoiler, they're lessening. But they managed to get a photo. And I was like, okay, well, if this is the only time we're ever going to see this photo, we got to put this on the news.
Yeah, that's definitely newsworthy to capture a photo like that.
Yeah. And it's what is it? They recorded, they believe there's just under 100 left total on the continent of Africa.
Wow. That's not a lot, you know.
No. And that's the thing. It's not enough to keep the species up without expert help.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because DNA, regressive and yada, 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 and all those things. Man, we're doing DNA a lot today for not having any stories on DNA. So I just wanted to put it up there for people. It's kind of a feel-good story of between art and this is like, hey, you know what? There's some cool stuff out there in the world still. Pay attention to it. Take a look out there.
Yeah, you just got to look for it sometimes, but it's there.
Yeah. So this is a cool Florida story. Florida does good stuff. By the way, did you get a chance to access this link?
This one, yeah.
Okay, good. I had a weird thing happen to me, like, you're not allowed. And I'm like, wait. Of course I am. I think it was just a hiccup in the system.
Yeah, it may have been.
And it's in the show notes. As always, all of our links are in the show notes. So if anybody ever has an issue with accessing any of these links, let us know. We'll make sure you can get into all the links through the library, if not on your own. Sloths. Slow, easy, basic creatures, you'd think. They were not so small. We're talking bigger than elephants. Yeah.
Could you imagine seeing a sloth that size? That would be...
Yeah.
I would be scared, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that the giant sloths, these super giant ones like this, between their teeth and their claws, carved out some of the caves that other species and humans used to take shelter in. They were that big, making caves in rock.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Now the problem with this is they all died off, obviously, because we don't have them around anymore. And one of the reasons they died off is because humans, but also they were so big that they were easy to hunt. Right. And they were still fairly slow. And their big thing is, just like you said, you come across this, even if you're a predator, if you're a jaguar, saber-toothed cats were around at the time. That's a one-on-one thing. They're your size or bigger. I mean, these are like mammoth-sized creatures that are going through the jungle, going through Southwest United States, and so they just could flatten anything. Mm-hmm. It was just weird. So one of the reasons it's a story right now is, one, it was National Fossil Day, which is really cool, earlier this week. But there's a study that they figured out exactly where the timing was when they got so big they couldn't survive anymore, because they couldn't defend themselves properly once predators evolved and more humans came on as a super predator and just basically wiped them out.
Wow.
But we still have all these other sloths around because they just hung around in trees
Yeah.
and ignored people, and people ignored them. Unfortunately, I mean, some of them are in threatened or status now because of climate change and invading all of their territory and knocking down forests. It's a bad thing. But these guys, these old giant sloths, were there, or just there, and basically got wiped out by humans and other predators because they couldn't evolve fast enough to evolve back down small enough.
Yeah.
And they weren't like the current sloths where they could go up into a tree and stay up there forever. And if you seriously, one of the things in this article I learned, if a sloth falls out of a tree, there's a 50-50 chance it dies or it just crawls back up the tree.
That was interesting to read about.
Yeah, because it turns out they're rubbery enough and slow enough and just like so relaxed that if they hit something really hard, a rock or something like that to do damage, they're done for. But they could just like get around and go crawl right back up. Yeah. I was like, wow. And so the big ones, obviously, they're stuck on the ground. They couldn't do anything. The craziness of science.
Yeah, indeed.
But last story is on AI today. And it may be extinction for AI in a way. So, Sean, I know you pay attention to AI stuff. Tell me what you think about this story. Did you understand what model collapse is?
So before reading the article, I hadn't heard the term model collapse specifically. So reading through it was the first time getting the information in regards to model collapse. But it was interesting to read. I personally don't use like AI search queries myself. So, but it does make sense, depending on where it's scraping data from. That's going to be a big source of how it spits out an answer to somebody.
So for anyone who has not been following along with AI model evolution, so to speak, and everything like that, when you talk about AI model collapse, you're saying that as the AI model that you've taught, you've created a model that has learned, not the query, not the one that you're asking the questions of, but the model that learns. When it's learning on other AI generated material, it duplicates the errors, further spreading errors, further, as some people call them, hallucinations and such like that. So part of that problem becomes it learned bad information because somebody had bad information come out of a search, out of a AI search, put bad information out there. Now the AI finds it again. It thinks it's supposed to be there. So it adds that bad information and creates more bad information. And it just starts to spiral. And now your model is just junk. And you have to scrap it all and rebuild from the beginning with only human inputted data that is accurate, which is where all the original cost of building these AI models comes from, both in energy intensity and in copyright violation and stealing people's intellectual property to build your model. So,
yeah, the world of AI, at least in like this iteration that we have it right now, it's still fairly it's very young, and you have there's a lot of ethical concerns about stuff, like you said, like scraping copyrighted data is a really big thing, and getting accurate information for the AI to feed off of is paramount. Otherwise, it's spitting out bad data to you, and why are you wasting energy on bad data and things like that? Like, honestly, you could go on about it for a long time.
We've done an hour-long show on AI before. Yeah. So this is one of those things that why we're running the story today. This is an opinion piece, so please go read it to see what some people are thinking. You out there listening to us may have a different idea. Put it in the comments. Send us an email. Let us know. We can put it on the show. One of the things with this, how this became a bigger issue this week was last week, the Chicago Tribune put out a summer reading list of books that don't exist because somebody just ran their story prompt into an AI chatbot and it spit out real authors with fake books and published it. And now if you go ask your AI chatbot about those books, it will tell you that the book is coming out or it doesn't have any information about it because it hasn't been published yet because it's not real.
Doesn't exist. That is.
There are good AI models out there. Not every single one is the same. And when you do something very restrictive, we talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago with one that talks to dolphins. There are some other versions that you can use just on your own data that work nicely, but you have to know what you're doing and you can't just do this indiscriminate stuff. And this is what happened. Yeah. Maybe some regulations out of Congress would help.
I think that would help. I don't know if we're going to get there soon.
I don't think we're getting there anytime soon either. Sad, but true. But thank you for being on the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
We will see. Are you there Saturday?
I will not be there Saturday.
Okay.
Actually.
Oh, okay. You're lucky. In a way, it's going to be full. We're going to have a very full house. I will be out there Saturday doing some colorblind work because the theme of the summer is Color Our World. So if you're in South Florida, come and visit us at the West Regional Library on Saturday. And if you're not, come back and see us next week on the show. Have a great day, everybody.
See you around.